I won't waste your time in this video. This first section is about how to create your speech. And when I say speech, I mean presentation, YouTube video, public speech, whatever you're going to create, I will tell you exactly how to do it. The first thing you need to do is to decide what topic you are going to talk about. If you watched my previous video, I go through the best topics you can use for your speech. I'll put them on the screen here as well. So after you have picked your topic, you need to limit your speech. In my previous video, I made a massive mistake. It's a very good video, you should watch it, but it could have been clearer, and when I was watching it I noticed that if I would have been a viewer, I wouldn't have learned that much from it. And the reason for this was that the ideas weren't developed enough. In this 10-minute video, I was giving you 23 lessons on how to become a better speaker. And this is the complete wrong way of doing it. Now I've learned this, and in this video, I'm only giving you 2 or 3 big lessons, but I'm really explaining them well. I'm nailing them down, and they are the most important lessons for you. And you need to do the exact same thing. Don't take a 10-minute speech and fill it with 23 ideas like I did. Instead, use much fewer ideas in your videos. Now you might be wondering, how many ideas should I use? Well, I'll tell you exactly how many ideas to use. If you've got a 5-minute speech or presentation, whatever, you'll only be able to fit 1 or 2 main ideas into that speech. Otherwise, the viewers just simply won't remember it. However, if you're making a 30-minute speech, I would suggest no more than 5 ideas. And you can use these figures and do the math to decide how long your specific speech should be. So a 10-minute speech would be around 2 ideas, a 15-minute speech would be maybe 2 or 3 ideas, and then so on. Now, some people may say that, oh, I need more ideas. I can't only just deliver 2 ideas in a speech, but that's completely wrong. So if you still don't believe me that you need to limit the amount of ideas in your speech, watch my previous video and then watch this one again, and you'll be able to tell that this video is so much clearer for you, and I get more views. So if you're following along this guide, you have already decided your topic, and now you need to pick your ideas right now. So my example idea for this video, which I'm going to use to illustrate my points, is don't memorize a script word for word. Remember that idea, because I will be using it in the entire video. So now I've created my topic, which is speaking, and my idea is don't memorize a script word for word. And the next step is to deepen this idea, make the idea more interesting. For every idea you have created, you need to ask yourself the following questions. Number 1, why do I believe this idea? For my idea, the one about not memorizing entire scripts, the answer to this question would be that it's boring to listen to someone who has memorized an entire talk. Or even worse, if someone hasn't memorized their speech, they just brought a paper to the presentation and just read it, and just read off the entire paper. I still remember those people who used to do that back in school, but I still occasionally come across this, so don't be that guy. So I went off on a bit of a tangent on that question. You can tell that this is a big passion for me. So the first question to ask about your idea is, why do I believe this? And then write down your answer. The second question to ask about your idea is, when have I seen this in real life? And I sort of answered this in the previous question when I said that I've seen people memorize entire scripts in real life and just how terrible of an experience it is. You know how they go like, today I was in school. Don't do it. So ask yourself, when have I seen this in real life? The third and final question is, what am I trying to prove? And again, for my idea, that would be that people need to prepare for speeches in a different way. They shouldn't memorize every single word. So now we have deepened our ideas. We have created some authority because we've actually thought deeply about our ideas. We've investigated them, and now we really understand our idea. We know what we're talking about, and if we were to get any questions, we've at least thought about it a little bit. So if you're following along, do it yourself for every single idea you have. Now here's a little bonus tip for you, and this is one of the most important things. Next time you're making a speech or presentation or YouTube video, determine your topic early, because that way ideas will appear during the day. When I was making this video, I determined the topic a couple days ago. I wrote it, and then when I was having a shower or when I was in class or just going for a walk, random ideas would pop in about this topic. And these ideas are some of the best ideas that I use in my video. Don't just sit there and write your speech until it's done, because your best ideas won't come when you're just sitting there writing it. Instead, you need to live your life, and these ideas will just pop into your head. At least they do for me. My first video is one of the best I've ever made, and then the videos gradually became worse. This was because in my first video, I determined the topic early, and I was thinking about it for days, trying to figure out what to tell my audience and just how to make it more interesting. Whereas, after I made the first video, I decided to spend less time on my videos. I would think less, I would just make the script really fast. And so the videos were worse and they didn't do as well. Whereas now, I'm really taking my time preparing each video. And that's what you need to do as well. Because now that I do that, my videos perform much better and they're way more interesting. And that's the reason why you are watching this video and probably not my older ones. Determine your topic early, to summarize. Next big thing when creating a talk is the power of stories. You need to fill your talk with illustrations and examples. For example, instead of me telling you to write your script in bullet points, which is not immediately useful because you don't really know exactly how to write your speech in bullet points from me just saying that. Instead, if I show you my entire script, that will be way more helpful for you because you can just see how I've done it and copy it yourself, and you would learn exactly how to write your speech. I put the link to my speech in the description below. You can just click on it. It's completely free. It's on Notion, which is a note-taking webpage. It was too big to fit in the video, so just click over there. It will be free forever. The point is to give clear examples and illustrations. If you can show something instead of telling it, show it. The clearest way to illustrate an idea is with a story. So when you're creating your talk, your speech, your presentation or YouTube video, you need to think of stories all the time. So I'll explain this using the same idea we used before, which was don't memorize a script word for word. So let's pretend I'm having a talk right now and I tell you to don't memorize your script. It's not immediately useful for you. It's not too interesting. Sure, I'm telling you what to do, but you probably won't remember it. But instead, if I were to tell you a story about one man who always memorized his entire script and another man who never memorized his script, but instead made bullet points, right? So we got one man who memorizes his script, one who doesn't, and this man who doesn't memorize his script succeeds. So that's a pretty shitty story, but that's an example of how to do it. To improve your story, you can give the characters names. Either if it's a story from real life, you can just tell their actual names, or even fake names like Mark always memorizes his scripts, or Bob never memorizes his scripts, stuff like that. You can also talk about yourself, that's fine, but make sure it's valuable and relevant. Don't just be the person who just talks about yourself all the time. If you're not sure how to create your story, ask yourself when, where, who, what, and why, and you'll get a pretty good story. But don't make it too long, keep it relevant, keep it interesting. The point is to not give too much detail. You can also dramatize your stories with dialogues. Now, this is an advanced skill. It's basically about telling a story containing dialogue. Now here's another little bonus tip for you. You should visualize by demonstrating what you're talking about. So instead of describing to someone how to swing a golf club, you actually stand up, take your golf club and show them how to do it. That will make your speech way better, remember that. And telling stories also works really well when writing and in conversation also. It's a common trick, so I challenge you next time you listen to someone give a talk or a YouTube video or something. Try to pay attention to how many stories they tell, because when I learned this, that people tell stories, I started seeing them all the time. Now you use your ideas and stories to create bullet points, just like I've done in the script for this video, which is linked below. Don't write an entire speech on paper word for word. Written things should not be said. It's a completely different medium. Things that are written are stiff, clear, informative, kind of boring, whereas talks are supposed to be interesting, personal, which is the complete opposite to what a text is. Here's the literal step-by-step guide on how to create your speech. Listen closely. Number 1, follow the guide from earlier and create your ideas. Number 2, put your ideas along with the answer to each question that we went through in the first part of the video into bullet points, right? So you get your ideas and the answer to the 3 questions into bullet points, brief ones. Step 3 is follow my story guide and create at least one story for every single idea. Now here's another bonus point when creating your speech if you want a really, really good speech. And that is to write a longer speech and then shorten it. So for example, if you want to have a 5-minute speech, you instead create a 10-minute speech and then you shorten it back into 5 minutes. This way you only keep the best parts of the speech. For example, in this video I made it longer from the start when I was scripting it, but I've cut some things that you will never see because they weren't useful or good enough to be in the video. I put those things at the bottom of my script in the link in the description. Now I will summarize the ideas we've worked ourselves through, and then I'll give you some quick exercises so you actually learn. But don't skip this part, it's important to summarize. Number 1, limit your speech. If you've got a 5-minute speech, cover 1 or 2 ideas. If you've got a 30-minute speech, limit your ideas to no more than 5. The second thing we went through was to deepen your ideas. We asked ourselves 3 questions. Number 1, why do I believe this? Number 2, when have I seen this in real life? And number 3, what am I trying to prove? And this really helps us understand our speech. The third thing we talked about was to determine your topic early. That way ideas will pop into your head as you go about your everyday life. Fourth thing we talked about was to illustrate your points as much as possible. I illustrated my idea on how to create a script by just showing you my script. So find something similar that works for your script or ideas or whatever you're creating. The best way to illustrate an idea is by by telling a story. So think of stories for your talk. Instead of proposing an idea, tell a story about it. And remember to give your characters real or fake names, and that it's fine to tell a story about yourself. Sixth thing we talked about was to visualize instead of describe. Don't tell someone how to swing a golf club. Instead, show them. Final thing we talked about was to turn ideas and stories into bullet points. Now here are some exercises for you so you can try it out yourself, and these are quick exercises, and if you're actually serious about learning how to speak, you need to do these exercises. I did them myself for this video and it only took me a couple minutes, so you should be able to do it yourself quickly too. Exercise number 1 is to come up with ideas you feel strongly about. Maybe I can put some suggestions on the screen in case you don't want to come up with one yourself. Exercise number 2, deepen your idea by asking the following questions. 1. Why do I believe this? 2. When have I seen this in real life? And 3. What am I trying to prove? Exercise number 3. Come up with a story to illustrate your idea. If you're not sure how to do that, ask yourself when, where, who, what, and why. Exercise number 4. Put all of this into short, brief bullet points. And that's it. Now you've created a speech which is literally better than 90% of speeches or talks or presentations you've heard before. In the future, I'll create a video picking up where we left off today, which would include actually how to practice for your speech and how to present it. Subscribe so you don't miss that, and if I've already uploaded that, you can see the link somewhere around the video. Watch my previous video to see the mistakes I talked about, and also to learn 23 lessons about speech mindset. Without the right mindset, your speech will suck, so watch that video too. Scroll down, click subscribe, and ring the bell icon so you don't miss my next video about how to speak and other interesting things I learned that I will share with you. From now on, I will make sure that every single video I upload will improve your life somehow. So if you don't want to miss that, click subscribe and the bell icon. Also, click like if this video was useful for you. That helps me out so much if you click the like button. Click and watch this video right now. Take care. Hope it helped.